Folks, because the goal of liberalism is to grind America down. They don't like America as founded. They don't understand or appreciate the freedoms and the sacrifices that were made by our founders and all the people that came before us made this country great. They are literally, that's why on 4th of July, I hate to sound kind of cynical here, but why do liberals celebrate 4th of July when they don't like the founding? Why do they get the day off? They shouldn't get the day off. They are literally attacking the country from within while living off the blood, sweat, and the tears of our founding fathers and the people that came before us. Everything that they believe goes against the American way of life, against the freedoms that we all take advantage of and live under. It's a shame. That's all I want to say about that. They're un-American. They are the definition of domestic enemy that some of the founders mention in their works, in their letters, in their books. They do not represent what America truly is. They do not represent our ethos. And what I mean by ethos, I mean ethos describes our beliefs. The beliefs of the founding and how that distinguishes this country, our character, our sentiment in the world. We're a very unique country. Most of the countries in this world stem from some monarchy, some dictatorship, some oligarchy. Not America. We have a constitutional representative republic where the individual has power that they loan to the leadership, to the politicians, and to the elected officials in this country. They are public servants. That's what the term public servant derived from. Because we have a constitutional republic, we loan our power. And it's very important because a lot of people misconstrue the power structure in this country. I know a lot of Christians and they read the Bible. I'm a Christian, but I have these conversations with fellow Christians. They read the Bible and see where you respect kings and so forth, and we don't have any kings in this country. The individual is supreme in this country. We have leadership. Yes, we should respect them. We should treat them fairly in a certain way because of our standards of decency, but they're public officials. We're a constitutional republic. We have the right to hold them to their feet to the fire. We have the right to criticize. Some people take criticism of our elected officials as something that's inappropriate. We're not supposed to do it. No, we're a constitutional republic. We have a First Amendment precisely for that, precisely for political speech. And so I wanted to mention ethos because for all of my Democrat friends out there, maybe some of you conservatives, what does that mean? I believe, this is my belief, that people that come here to immigrate here, our ethos attract people here. Our distinguishing character. Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness that's codified in our founding documents that describes the American way of life that has produced the tangible fruit that you see today in our free society. We have the largest economy. We have the most sophisticated, most powerful military in the world, and that derives from our economic power, and that economic power derives from our freedoms. So it's important to know that our ethos, what describes us, how we perceive and believe ourselves and how others perceive us, our characteristics, that's our ethos. And that's what people see. They don't, liberals, everything is about race with them. They talk about the melting pot and the diversity. They're always preaching diversity. Ironically, they don't like a diversity of opinions, but that's a whole nother conversation. But they preach diversity, and it's not about that. It's about the freedom. People come here for the freedom and for the opportunity. Diversity is fine. If you have a free society and it's prosperous, it's going to attract a diverse group of people with different language, ethnic backgrounds, different customs. But the idea is to blend into the American culture of freedom. When people outside of this country think of America, those that are not resentful of us for our success and for our prosperity, they think freedom and opportunity. That's what they see. Fairness. Even though life isn't fair, no place is totally fair, but we somewhat have a meritocracy here. You can work your way into wealth if you want. You can be a person of squalor and work your way up. Work your way up to the food chain through the income brackets. We don't have a caste system here like they do in places like India and some Asian countries, where if you're born into a poor family, you're going to be poor. You're born into a wealthy family, you're going to be wealthy. And it's harder to create wealth that way. It really is. Some do it, but it's a lot easier here. Look at the innovations that come out of this country. Facebook, Amazon, and places like Zappos, IBM computers, and Dell, and so many examples. Some of people that started businesses in their garage. Apple. People started FedEx. I can go on and on. Look at the fruit. Look at the tangible fruit. Look what America and Americans produce. Goods and services that help people, that they can sell, that they can negotiate. They can have a contract with their fellow man. Voluntary goods and services to their fellow man. Their fellow man voluntarily pays for the services with their own financial resources. And that's capitalism in a nutshell. It's not about greed. It's not about hoarding. It's about freedom. Capitalism, our capitalist system, our free market is a byproduct of the freedoms that we have. You have freedom of speech. You have freedom of thought. Freedom of thought produces brainstorming ideas, and those ideas can lead to innovations, such as we've seen in this country. And so I want to talk about ethos and what describes us and how it relates to the founding, because liberalism and liberals, progressives in general, liberal progressive, people that don't believe in the founding, they don't believe in the greatness of this country, they feel for some reason guilty of this country. They talk about our racial history, our racist. What country have you ever read any world history? Every country has some sort of racism, classism. These flaws in society and in people are not isolated strictly for America. There's racism all over the world. There's classism all over the world. These are not unique to this country. But some people forget or don't know. But liberalism is radical. Liberals are radical. because they don't believe, and they live to undermine traditional society as we know it, the pillars of traditional society, which is God, family, and country. And these are things that, for people like us, conservatives, freedom movement, we hold these things sacred. We want to preserve them, just like we want to preserve the freedoms of everyone in this country, just like we want to preserve our Constitution. And preserving that Constitution save those freedoms. And so I want to bring this up. I know we have this election, but I want to really hammer this in. And this will be a repeat theme throughout my broadcast, because I believe that there's a lot to learn from this. The progressive, just like they own DC, they own everything else. Education system, Hollywood, TV. As I stated earlier, there's a lot of money, corporate money, behind progressivism, but those institutions promote one another. They control the culture. They indoctrinate people. They indoctrinate people to reject the founding, to reject any outside ideas. And the sole purpose is to eliminate the opposition. And sooner or later, hopefully, some of us, conservatives figured it out. Republicans in DC, I don't know if they figured it out, but they sure as hell don't care, it seems like. I mean, the American people provided the Republicans with the House and the Senate. We have very little to show for it. But anyway, liberalism, they indoctrinate. Liberals indoctrinate through those institutions, the public schools and TV, Hollywood, print. They own most of it. Very little conservative. I mean, there's conservative talk radio and you have Fox, but man, it's just really, we don't own the culture. Christians don't own the culture. And so they indoctrinate us. They indoctrinate us through various means. Just look at the Obama president. I'll give you an example. Look at the conditioning that taken place before the Obama presidency. Stories on, will we ever have a black president? You know what? Look at the movies. Look at the movies. Look at the movies. Hollywood had a string of black presidents in movies before we actually had one. You had Morgan Freeman in Deep Impact, Tiny Lester in The Fifth Element. Morgan Freeman was also vice president in the recent film London Has Fallen. What about 24? You had two black presidents in 24. And so they condition us. They want to condition us. If they can influence us through TV and print and movies, they can change and shape our opinions on certain issues. And I believe that this was one of the strings that led to the Obama presidency. And there was a cultural aspect. There was kind of a yearning for a minority president, but this created that atmosphere. That and other various factors. Same thing with women. They have TV shows and movies with women presidents. What about that show Veep, for example? What about Gina Davis, who played the president and Commander-in-Chief? What about that show, it's a movie, Political Animals? Now get this, Sigourney Weaver. Political Animals, she was a divorced former First Lady who was the current Secretary of State who lost the presidential nomination. Think about that. Think about it. There was also a woman president on the show 24. Now this works for various other areas, social areas, and think about, okay, we just had this past year a ruling on gay marriage from the Supreme Court. And of course now gay marriage can be legalized. It's legal in all 50 states, but beforehand you had 33 some odd states that ban gay marriage. But even before this thing went to a head, even before Proposition, even during this whole time, you had Proposition 8 a few years ago in California, where the voters overwhelmingly voted against gay marriage. Liberal state like California. A lot of blacks voted against gay marriage in California. And the same thing goes for a lot of those other states. But look at the chain that got us here. What about TV? What about the gays on TV? And I'm not picking on gays. I'm just illustrating an example. You had Will and Grace. You had Queer as Folks. All other type of shows. Gets into the culture. Gets in, that show. Even I like Will and Grace. I really like the show, but it's into the culture. Get it into the culture. Get it in front of people. And you may change their mind about an issue. Right now, you have I'm keeping an eye on this. There was another show, Big Love, where they were polygamists. And now there's a reality show, Sister Wives, where they're showing families, polygamous families. That could change someone's mind later if you don't watch it. Who's to say that it won't be? Maybe I would imagine, since that gay marriage is legal, the liberals are so concerned about transgender bathrooms, I can imagine that there would be a push for polygamy to legalize it. Same thing with the Second Amendment. We're always talking about this gun violence. Liberals are always hopping about the gun culture, which I don't know what that means. There's really no gun culture. If there is a gun culture, it's coming out of Hollywood, where liberals are winning the day. There's no conservative films hardly coming out of Hollywood. There's conservatives in Hollywood, but most of them are in the closet. But look at all the films, the violence in our films, video games. Again, you get people in front of certain material, they change. Folks, when I grew up, I'm not that old, I'm in my 30s, but the violence in the movies weren't as gory. It wasn't as bad as now. We had guns in our house. We had guns all over our house. But my father taught us how to respect a gun and use them, and we knew where they were. Something happened, but we weren't curious. We didn't try to go out and kill people. But again, liberals are the first to say when there's an issue, a social issue, they are the first to point out, well, we won the culture war. You lost, you conservatives, you Christians, you lost the culture war. Okay. Own the violence. Own the rape. Own any other social dysfunction. Because yes, you do own the culture, and yes, you help cultivate this environment, this atmosphere. So again, man, liberals, they try and they don't stop. It's not going to stop. There's got to be some opposition in order for this to stop. We have got to identify ourselves. We have got to educate the country on what the American ethos is and why liberals are trying to attack it and how they're attacking it. And we have to educate conservatives, freedom movement, We have to educate people about conservatism. Doesn't mean that you have to slap them on it. It's nice to know that people are reading the founding documents. Since this president has been in office, people are reading the founding documents. Pocket constitutions flying off the shelf, but we don't have to hit them over the head with the Constitution. We can just talk about simple economics policies. Tie it to the freedoms of the Constitution. So they're grinding us down, folks. I mean, you have look at the issues that are in the pipeline. You have Common Core that we need to get rid of. We shouldn't be relying on the federal government to run our education systems. They ruined it in the first place. Ruined it. Ruined education in this country. We're in the 30s on the Global Competitive Index. When they created Department of Education, we were number 3. In between number 1 and number 3. Everything they touch, they ruin. Look at our health care. Hardworking people losing their coverage. Increase premiums. Less coverage than what they had prior to Obamacare. Taxes. Scores of rules and regulations that are hurting business, healthcare providers, and insurance companies. But again, they put it in front of you. They run healthcare stories. I would just remember the push for healthcare in 2010, and news media running all types of stories about the lack of care and how good the care is in Europe, and the Obama Facebook page. This is how many people lost their health care between this hours. That's asinine. Healthcare doesn't cancel that way, first of all. If you're in mid-month, you lose your healthcare coverage, you change employers, expires at the end of the month. That's how insurance policies work. So there's no hourly total people that lose healthcare. But again, the indoctrination, they grind us into the ground. They'll do the same thing with guns. They'll run story after story about gun control, even though it's a statistical fact that where there's more guns in the hands and in the arms of legal citizens, the crime plummets. But they will grind us. They will keep pushing. If they can't get a law passed, they'll go to the courts. But the indoctrination campaign, it's forever. Forever goes. Our freedom of speech, this president, liberals around the country, attacking religious liberty, attacking Christian business owners, attacking Christian charities. I mean, we're just under 24-hour assault. And I'm especially hypersensitive because I'm in a state like New Jersey, which is pretty much a police state. Strict gun laws, high taxes. Draconian policies here. Employers leaving. People of well-to-do means have been leaving in droves in the last 4 years. 4 to 8 years, actually. And that's what they do. That's what happens. They will keep trying. Liberalism is a cancer. If you're looking at the past 7 years, you look at the past 7 years. This administration and with some of the things that they want to pass through and make into law, it's evident. It's completely evident. It's a shame. I mean, it breaks my heart to see my country being attacked from within by politicians who swore to uphold and to protect our Constitution, our laws, to defend our rights. You have liberals want to silence people, environmental liberals, people who dissent on the opinion on whether climate change or global warming is real or not. You literally have people wanting to pass laws to lock people up who dissent. Now, if that science was so settled, they would want to debate. Wouldn't you want to debate? Wouldn't you want to clear the air? Would you be trying to pass laws? Would you attempt to pass laws that will punish honest Americans that have a different opinion than you? So we're under assault, folks. We're under constant assault. I just look at how liberals destroyed the black family. Look at that. That's a prime example of the destructive force of liberalism. Creating the ghettos through FDR. Slavery, segregation, black codes, Jim Crow. LBJ's Great Society, the extension of the welfare state specifically for the black community, which has led to more single-parent homes, more poverty. They've literally destroyed black abortion. 40% of abortions occur in the black community amongst black women. Literally destroying our posterity. And so, I say this to say, conservatives, we have to figure out what's going on here. Because it's painfully evident this last year, this nomination process in the Republican Party, it's a combination of things. Trump seizing the opportunity, using his brand, brilliant strategy for winning the nomination, earning it, using his brand to earn the nomination. Ted Cruz, who we thought, most of us conservatives thought, would be a shoo-in. Trump came in and stole some of his base. That's just it just happened. He had a louder megaphone. And to a certain degree, conservatism was rejected. And we got to figure out why. Because constitutionalism is the answer to all of these problems that are plaguing us and plaguing our free society. Having a limited government, having a representative republic that is by the people, for the people, that has the consent of the people. And so it goes back to, what is the American ethos? How we're distinguished amongst other nations, amongst other cultures throughout this world. We are unique. We are exceptional. Not that we're better than anyone or any other country, but we are unique in the sense that we're the most freest. We have more freedom than any other country on the face of this planet. And our prosperity is the fruit of that. The prosperity in this country is the fruit of that. With freedom comes prosperity. That's the universal principle. And that's what I see. That, for me, that's worth saving. We have a lot of work to do. We are under attack. We have a lot of work to do. and conservatives that are on the sidelines. Some of you guys have got discouraged because Ted Cruz didn't get the nomination. And folks, we got to get over that. You've seen what has taken place this week with Hillary Clinton. This woman has broken the law, committed felonies in 3 different areas. Emails, Benghazi. She's perjured herself. The Clinton Foundation, laundering money pretty much. We have got to get the word. That's why I personally don't reject a Trump candidacy or presidency, because the Clintons are horrible. And we have to get it together before this country falls apart. We have to stop Obamacare, Common Core, net neutrality. We have to lock that Supreme Court down. We have to preserve, do what we can, while we can, when we can, to preserve this great republic. We have to preserve the Second Amendment. We have to preserve the First Amendment, the Fourth Amendment. And so the next round of this, go into a deeper dive. But you conservatives that have given up, want to retreat from politics and sit on the sidelines because our guy, because Ted Cruz is my guy too, then get the nom, it's going to ruin the country if Trump doesn't. We have a better opportunity containing Trump than trying to fight Clinton. And the Republicans in Congress, they won't fight. They have laid down for this president. They've given him more money and funding, and they want to go all out on amnesty, which would destroy the country, destroy the economy. It's going to hurt job seekers here and people that want opportunities here, people that were born here, immigrated here legally. So folks, we got to get to work. What is our ethos? That'll be a repeat theme. It intrigues me because even I brought this subject up. I brought this subject to the table. And even I don't know the full answer. Maybe, just maybe, we'll find